Welcome to Lunch with Gina, everyone. I'm really excited today to have with us Cindy Asamoah, who is Asamoah. Asamoah. There we go. Cindy Asamoah. Such a beautiful last name. I had to make sure I get that right. She is an independent school mom and a mompreneur. And she has started something really incredible that I think at least folks in Brooklyn need to know about. And it's all focused around our boys of color in independent schools. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Cindy and ask her a few questions. Hi, Cindy. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I see you around quite a bit in our independent school communities. I know that you are a mom who engages, who advocates, and has agency around your child and their academic, social, and emotional well-being and success. So I thank you for that. I give you, big kudos for that.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit more about the boys' room. What's your story behind it? Why you started the boys' room? What your goals are?
hmm well, I started the boys' room. It actually launched in October, but I did a pilot program in May. And I came up with this idea because I actually attended a panel discussion that you were having and in the beginning of January. And a friend of mine invited me, and it was about it's about white women who teach Black boys.
Yes.
And do you remember that one?
The guidebook by Eddie Moore Jr. and his
Yes,
incredible team of contributors. Yes.
yes. And it was amazing. I loved everything about it. But my takeaway was I felt like I needed to do something. I have my son in independent school, and so while my husband and I thought and still believe that it's an amazing experience for him, I really had to think about it from his perspective, right? Like through his lens. It's like, is he having a good experience? Is he feeling really confident, in the classroom, when he's a minority in there? Like, how does he feel when he raises his hand? Is he confident to answer the questions? If he's called on, so all of these things I was thinking about, and it actually brought me back to my childhood when I was growing up in Massachusetts. And I had the same experience. And I guess I really didn't realize that because I suppressed that because since I was a minority there, I didn't feel super confident then. There weren't people that looked like me. And, thinking about this for my son, it just brought me back way, way back to the 80s and growing up in Massachusetts and going to a rural school in Massachusetts. And I didn't feel comfortable in the school. So I said, you know what, I need to start something for our boys, especially. There are a lot of programs for girls, and there are a lot of programs for boys and girls, but I felt like the boys needed their own platform. They need a safe space where they can talk about what boys want to talk about, So it's a little different than, having a group with boys and girls. So I decided to start this program.
And so the program is located in Brooklyn. So from Massachusetts to Brooklyn, okay.
Yes, right. It's located in Brooklyn, but I do have kids who are coming also from Manhattan. So it's independent schools in Brooklyn as well as Manhattan. And so, we meet once a week to just talk about social things, what they're going through. So yeah, it's been an amazing experience.
So what age group are you targeting for the boys' room?
So it's elementary school. So it is grades 1 through 4 and ages 6 through 9.
Okay. And when you think about the areas that you concentrate on, I know leadership is one of them, right? So talk about why leadership is important and who you have to support your conversation with the boys with regards to leadership.
Good question. So yeah, we do have core values, and leadership, yes, is one of them. Self-esteem, self-confidence, awareness, and belonging. So those are all of our 5 core values. And I have guest speakers that actually come in. And I think it's really important to have positive male, African-American, or person of color for that matter, come in and speak to these boys, you know? I mean, I do a lot of play work with them, but it's really important to actually have, you know, a man come in and they give them all the attention. Like, they love hearing the nuggets that they share with them, you know? And so I think it's just much more impactful for them to hear from a man, you know?
Mm-hmm. So who was one of your recent guest speakers? I think I saw some pictures.
Yes, I did. I actually had I had 2 guest speakers. One guest speaker was from my son's independent school.
Okay.
He came and he talked, and he was actually it was interesting because he was talking about feelings, you know, and he gave the boys permission to actually feel their feelings and allow those feelings. Don't suppress those feelings, you know? And it was really interesting and dynamic, actually, because I can say the same thing, but it's so different coming from him. And I can just see like the burden lifted off of these young kids. Like, really, like I can feel the way that I feel, and it's okay, you know?
And
So
be
it was
acknowledged.
great.
And be acknowledged.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, and then I had another guest speaker you probably saw the pictures of. He was our most recent guest speaker, and he was talking about leadership. He actually came all the way from Jersey to come and meet with these boys, and they had an amazing time with him too.
Mm-hmm. So I noticed that they were taking notes and they participated in sort of a workshop setting where they wrote down what leadership meant to them, right?
Yeah.
So what were some of the responses of the boys?
So he asked them a question, and he asked them, would they prefer to have money, or would they prefer to be a leader? And it was interesting because it was like a 50-50 split, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then he asked the boys to share, you know, why they feel like, you know, they would prefer to have, you know, money versus actually being in charge and being a leader. So it was really interesting to hear their responses.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So what are some of the goals that you have? What are the outcomes? What do you hope that the boys will experience at the end of this program? And talk a little bit about what the program actually looks like. So you say you meet once a week, and and for how long, and what are you hoping that the boys walk away with at the end of the year?
So we run the program. There are 3 sessions. And so each session consists of 7, well, now 8 meetings. Initially for session 1, I had 7 meetings. And so now moving forward, I feel like we need more time together. So I've added an additional week. So the boys will be meeting, you know, since there are 2 locations, I have one meeting on Wednesday, another meeting on Thursday. Wednesday, we meet at Mark Morris from 4:30 to 5:30, which is in Fort Greene on Lafayette Avenue. And then on Thursday, we meet in Prospect Lefferts Gardens, and we meet at Lefferts Gardens Montessori from 4 to 5. And so the goal for the boys, I really want them to be able to get to know one another. I mean, they don't attend the same schools. So it's really interesting in the beginning, you know, once they are all in the group, you know, we make sure we do introductions, you know, we do some play around that too, so they can kind of get to know one another. But over the course of the week, it's so interesting to see these bonds being formed from these boys who did not even know one another, and they had all attended independent schools. And so I really want them to travel through this journey together. You know, doesn't matter what school you go to, but you have something in common, right? You're a person of color, and you also attend an independent school, and your walk is the same walk.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the challenges that you think boys of color are facing, even on the elementary school level and the lower school level, with being a young male of color in an independent school? What are some of the challenges that they face?
I think they face belonging.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really do. You know, I mean, some people say, oh, well, they're so young, they don't really notice. No, they notice. They really do notice. And, you know, we need to talk about these things. We can't just ignore it. I mean, they see that there are people in their classrooms and some teachers who don't look like them, you know, so let's acknowledge it. Let's talk about it. And how does that make you feel, you know? So accepting that and belonging, and just building their confidence and self-esteem, like I touched on before, like we have to make sure these boys feel confident to speak, right, in their classrooms. They have to, whether it's, standing up or standing in front of the class or just even just raising your hand, like they have to feel really confident, and some of them really don't. So I think being in a group, that a safe space where they can share that. And it's really interesting that I'm facilitating everything, but the older boys, the third and the fourth graders, are really helping out the first and second graders, and sharing their experiences and what they went through and how they're able to navigate through that, So the whole peer mentoring aspect of it is amazing, absolutely amazing.
Well, that's fantastic. It's really important. And as a parent, again, I commend you for showing up and speaking up and providing a space for parents to bring their sons to be reinforced, to be recognized, and to beat down the stereotypes that are often coming in ways that are visible and invisible. Just being one of a few kids of color in the classroom does send messages.
Yeah.
It sends messages about whether or not, am I the exceptional one, or is it that, we really don't belong here? And that whole idea of an imposter syndrome, sets in. Why am I here? We do believe in our independent schools and the educational opportunities and resources that they provide. But as parents, we really need to understand how critical our role is in making sure that that overall success is there. And it's not just about the academics, it's about the social and emotional as well. So you, are the classes still open? Is the program still open for people to register?
Yes, absolutely. So I just opened up the registration for session 2. Session 2 will begin on January 9th. And so registration is open right now until December 28th. So if people can register their sons, that would be fantastic. Again, the deadline's December 28th. I'd like to fill both of my locations. So yeah, I'd love to have everyone's kid in my group because it's
That's great. And remind us again, how many sessions? So that will run from January 9th till when?
Till the middle of February.
Okay.
And then we'll have at the end of the 8th session that weekend, I always do like some celebration for the boys, which they absolutely love. And it's always a surprise, so I never let them know what it is. But yeah, it's just for 1 hour on Wednesday, 1 hour on Thursday. And that's it.
Okay, great. And we're gonna end with this. Can you tell me some of the testimonials that you've had from either parents or the young guys in the session? What are they saying as they come in and out of the program weekly?
Well, honestly, I know that they really enjoy it because they get there on time. In fact, sometimes even minutes before, because they want to socialize with their friends. Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting because I spoke to some of the parents. In fact, they wrote some of the testimonials on my Facebook page. If anyone they're welcome to go and visit the Boys Room program on Facebook. I have some testimonials there from some parents. Some parents even had 2 of their boys in the program. I've had that a couple of times. So that's wonderful. And they love it. They really do love it. They have seen the growth in their kids. And, these people, whether it was from session 1 or from the pilot program, these kids are coming back for session 2. And some have even signed up for session 3. And I haven't even begun thinking about session 3. So I'm really happy that parents are seeing the growth and improvement in their kids, and that continues to grow every week when I meet with the boys.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Cindy, for creating the Boys Room, and you're having great success with it. And we want more families in the Brooklyn, Manhattan area to know that it's available. There's a space for your sons weekly to meet other young boys of color, and just to recognize that they are valued, and they have a lot to contribute, and we need to reassure them of that. So thank you so much for this space. Information will be at the bottom of this post. The Facebook page for the Boys Room, the registration link for the Boys Room, and again, Cindy, thank you so much. We really appreciate your work. We need it. We need it.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks, RIISE, for joining us today with Lunch with Gina and Cindy, and we'll see you soon.
Bye now.
Bye.